Okay, today we are going to be learning how to solve systems of equations by elimination. It's very important that you pay attention to this lesson because tomorrow we will be moving on. So make sure you're paying attention so that tomorrow you'll understand how to do this because it's going to have an extra step added in tomorrow. Okay, we're going to first solve this system, 6x plus 4y equals 8 and negative x minus 4y equals 12 by graphing it. Okay, well, they're not ready to be graphed because neither equation is in slope-intercept form. So you can take them to the side where you have some room for scratch work and rewrite each one into slope-intercept form. So this is my mx. I'm going to subtract it to the other side of the equation. It will cancel out, leaving 4y on the left. And now 8 minus 6x, or since we want it to be mx then b, we'll go ahead and put the negative 6x first and the positive 8 second. Now the only thing we have to do to get it in y equals mx plus b form is get y by itself. Since the y and the 4 are touching, that means they're being multiplied, so the inverse operation of that is division. Those cancel out because anything over itself is 1, leaving y by itself. Negative 6 over 4 will not become a whole number, but it will reduce to negative 3 over 2. 8 over 4 will become positive 2. Now that we have rewritten this equation into slope-intercept form, we can put it on the graph. Okay, the y-intercept is 2, so I'm going to plot it first on the y-axis. And then the slope tells me to go down 3, right 2. So down 1, 2, 3, right 2. And I can do that again. Down 1, 2, 3, right 2. And then one more time, down 1, 2, 3, right 2. Now if we want some points over here, we can also do the opposite, up 3 and left 2. And then that's the only one because if we tried it again, it would run off the graph. Okay, once you have as many points as you can fit, go ahead and connect them with a line. Okay, and once you have connected the points, it will look like that. Okay, remember, we have a negative slope, which is why our line is going down. Okay, and then the y-intercept is 2, so that's where it crosses the y-axis. Now it's time to take the other equation in our system and rewrite it into slope-intercept form. Okay, so it's negative x minus 4y equals 12. This negative x is a negative 1x, and that's our mx. It needs to be on the other side of the equal sign, so we're going to add it to cancel it on this side, and then add it over here with the b. We now have negative 4y equals 12 plus 1x, or we could go ahead and rearrange that and put the 1x first, since it's your mx, and the positive 12 second. Now the remaining step is to get this y by itself. It's touching the negative 4, which means they're being multiplied. And to undo multiplication, we divide. Okay, negative 4 over negative 4 is positive 1, so that's just 1y equals, that will not reduce, so that just becomes a negative 1/4 x, and then 12 over negative 4 will become a negative 3. Now that we have it in slope-intercept form, negative 3 is our y-intercept, so we're going to plot it first on the y-axis, and then from there we can go down 1, right 4. Okay, and you see the first time we do that, we intersect the other line. We can't do it again because we don't have enough room to go over 4. Or we could have gone, had we left the negative on the bottom to begin with, we could have gone up 1 and left 4. Okay, once you have your points, connect them with a line. Okay, and it will look like this. Okay, now that we have our two lines, we see that their intersection is right 4 and down 4, which is the ordered pair 4, negative 4. Okay, so that's just a review of graphing a system of equations. Now we are going to solve the exact same system by a new method, and the new method is called elimination. Okay, there's 4 steps. The first step to solving this system by elimination is to identify the variable that can be eliminated. The variable that can be eliminated is the variable that has the same number but opposite signs. So in this case, that would be the y, because beside this y is a positive 4, and beside this y is a negative 4. Okay, so we're going to eliminate the y. Now, to do that, you're going to add the 2 equations together. So we have 6x plus 4y equals 8. And we have negative 1x. Let's go ahead and write in that 1 so we know what we're dealing with. Minus 4y equals 12. Okay, you're simply going to add these 2 equations together. So a 6 plus a negative 1 is 5x. 4 plus negative 4 is 0y. So that's how it eliminates, because it becomes a 0 and you just don't have to write it. And now we can complete it by adding together our constant values. 8 plus 12 is 20. Okay, now you see that we just have a one-step equation. We need to get the x by itself, so divide by 5, and x will equal 20 divided by 5, which is 4. Well, you'll notice that that is the same x value we got when we solved the system by graphing. Okay, now, to find the y value, you're going to pick either equation, either one of these equations you want to work with. I'll just choose to go with the top. Okay, it's 6x plus 4y equals 8. We now know that our x value is 4. So I'm going to replace that x with a 4. So 6 times 4 plus 4y equals 8. That then becomes a 24 plus 4y equals 8. Now to get y by itself, you're going to need to subtract the 24 to cancel it out on this side. Subtract it on this side. We now have 4y equals what? Negative 16. Okay, now to get the y by itself, we divide by 4 on both sides. And so y will become negative 4, which is the exact same thing we got when we graphed the equation. Okay, so this is just another way to solve the exact same system. We learned graphing the last few days, and now we're going to be learning elimination. Okay, so just like we did with graphing, you'll write your final answer as 4, negative 4. Okay, let's try another one. Go ahead and flip over to the back of your note sheet, and we're going to try another example. Okay, go ahead and write the example up here as I write it. The system is 6x minus 4y equals negative 18. That's the first equation. The second equation is negative 6x plus 7y equals 18. Okay, step 1 says identify the variable that can be eliminated. Which variable has the exact same number but opposite signs? Okay, it's the x, because up here it has a positive 6, and in the second equation it has a negative 6. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add the 2 equations together. Plus negative 6 is 0, so those terms eliminate or cancel out. Negative 4 plus 7 is 3, so there's 3y. And then negative 18 plus 18 is a 0, but you have to write it, okay, because you can't just leave this side of the equation blank. Now to solve for y, We need to get the 3 away from it. They're being multiplied, so we divide by 3. Those cancel, leaving y by itself. And then 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay, so we now know that our y value is 0. Okay, to solve for the remaining variable, which is going to be the x this time, you're going to take either equation, it doesn't matter which, I'll just pick the bottom one this time, negative 6x plus 7y equals 18. Okay, but in the place of y, we now know that it equals 0. So that becomes negative 6x plus 7 times 0 equals 18. Okay, then that will become negative 6x. 7 times 0 is 0. So that just cancels out, and you can just write equals 18. We now divide by negative 6 to cancel it out and get x by itself. And then we divide by negative 6 on this side, and that gives us x equals negative 3. Okay, so our solution is x equals negative 3, y equals 0. So make sure that when you write the final answer, you write it negative 3, 0. And I just realized as I was working that really step 3 and step 4 are the same, so you don't have to worry about that. Once you add the two equations, it solves for one of the variables. To solve for the other one, you just plug it in. Okay, so really this step is unnecessary, so we'll go ahead and just take it off. Okay, now let's try the next example. Okay, so let's go and take this step off. Okay, the next example is 8x minus 8y equals 16, and then negative 8x plus 9y equals negative 20. Okay, so here we go. Which variable can be eliminated? Okay, it's going to be the x this time, because with the x in the top equation you have a positive 8. The x in the bottom equation has a negative 8. Okay, so now we're going to add those two equations together. (8x plus negative 8x is 0x. So that's the variable that eliminates. Negative 8y plus 9y is positive 1y. And then a 16 plus a negative 20 is negative 4. Okay, now remember, 1 does not have to be written there. So it's not like you have to take the time to divide by 1 here. That's your final answer, y equals negative 4. Okay, so we've solved for one variable of the system. Now we're going to take that negative 4 and plug it back in either one of these equations to find the x value. Okay, so let's just go with the top equation. 8x minus 8y equals 16. That will then become 8x minus 8 times y, which we know is negative 4, equals 16. Okay, then that becomes 8x, negative 8 times negative 4 is a positive 32, and that equals 16. Now we need to subtract the 32 from both sides. Okay, that then becomes 8x equals 16 minus 32, which is negative 16, and then just divide by the 8 to get x by itself, and that leaves you with x equals negative 2. Okay, remember when you are writing your final answer to be very careful because -2 is the x value. So in the ordered pair, it will come first, and -4 is the y value, so it will come second. You now need to work on page 5, numbers 1 through 10.